Sexual energy can be expressed in so many different ways. It doesn't always have to be this horny energy. It can just be this really beautiful, sultry, or it could be coy, it could be playful. There's so many different ways you can go about it. I'm Kylie Bee, and I'm an exotic empowerment coach. I also strip and work in the industry part-time, and now looking to support women and men in the industry as they go through their journey. What I noticed was women and men in the industry were coming from, a lot of the time, a toxic kind of sexuality, just not in an empowering way. Like, I found that a lot of girls, like when I started strip club work, they would say they couldn't have sex, or they just had no energy for their partners or themselves outside of work. Like, it would really deplete their energy, which led me into becoming a sex coach. And it's just led me down the rabbit hole of what sexual energy is and how you can come from a more empowering place. So my mission is now to guide people in the industry, no matter what you do, cam work, pornography, stripping, escorting. I feel that it doesn't matter what you do for a job, so long as you come from a really powerful, empowering place and you create your own empowerment and not depending on external validation or acceptance, and you just create that within yourself and you're your own little environment where that grows from, it just changes the game altogether. And that's the place that I come from now. I complete myself. I don't need anyone to tell me I'm good at dancing, I look beautiful naked, because I've already told myself that. And so I've created an internal context of just power and beauty and how sex can be celebrated and come from a really, really beautiful place. So it's been a really big journey over about 6 years. A lot of upset girls in the changing rooms, yeah, because they don't know how to go about or navigate their relationships or talk to their partners, because it always comes from a reactive state. So they're always just going, oh, he just won't listen to me. I won't listen to him because I just feel like he's not accepting me for who I am. There'll be times where they're absolutely fine with the job and they help them and they empower them, yeah, babe, go get it, and they'll make money angels when they get home. And then there's also other times they'll come in and they'll be just distraught. They're like, oh, I hate sharing you. I don't want you to go to work tonight. And it's just that really shits me. I don't share myself with them. Yes, a part of the exchange of what happens, there's an aspect of sharing, but it's not in that sense. So I would suggest to people who are conflicted with that, oh, I'm sick of sharing you with everyone at work. I would ask, what part of me do you feel like I'm sharing with them that I'm not actually giving to you? Because that's what can happen a lot. Because they feel that they're not getting something that they feel like someone else at work could be, but at the end of the day, it's just a story that they're making up. So the best way to do it is just to really ask your partner and just say, look, if you ever feel like maybe there's one of those nights that you just want to stay, you want me to stay home, I'll do that, and just look at what's actually underneath that core value or that core kind of belief. Is there something that I'm not doing enough that you're not actually providing for yourself? Because the minute that we depend on someone else for something, codependency can happen, and that can become actually toxic, because if you can't provide that for yourself, you're going to depend on that aspect on the other person for as long as the relationship will exist. We can't actually change other people, and at the same time, we can't own someone else as well. The minute we think that we own someone, that again is a really toxic place to come from. You can never own someone. You get to celebrate and support them in their achievements and what they want to become. Sometimes it can just be incompatibility. You might just get to a point where in relationships, it's natural to have fights. That's how you grow as a couple. But if you're having the same fight over and over again, and it always comes back to you're sharing yourself, or you're not giving me enough sex, or fill in the blank, if that pattern keeps reoccurring, maybe the relationship just isn't working. But at the same time, are you both prepared to look at what's not working and maybe look at a different picture to work towards? Because what can happen a lot of the time is that you're both working towards two completely different goals and not even realize it. Begin with the end in mind. I read this amazing book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the first chapter goes, begin with the end in mind. So say, for example, what do we want to achieve together as a couple? Have that goal there and then work towards it yourselves. Because you'll find sometimes a lot in relationships, you're working towards two very different pictures. Always the benchmark for this is not to touch without asking. It's just not a given. When you pay for a topless service or topless waitressing, for example, touching's not implied. It's always polite to ask the girl, and just literally, if you have any questions, ask, don't assume. It's really important for us to feel safe, because we're in a really vulnerable state. Being topless or nude, especially I make a conscious effort not to bend over naked in certain positions, because that's just, I understand that alcohol shuts down a part of the brain of reasoning, and you go back to kind of oh, that looks good, I just want to touch it. But at the same time, you get to take responsibility for how they act. There was so many instances where guys would make comments, grab me, touch me, and this is how like the industry has served me as well, because in my real life, I used to never stand up for myself. I used to just kind of laugh it off and just be like, but deep down the voice was just going, can you please just speak out? The breaking point was really subtle. A man got one of those vibrating buzzers that you get for food and he put it on my ass. And I literally jumped out of my skin because he came from behind me. I didn't know he was there. I just said, can you please not do that again? It makes me feel not safe, and you can't come up and touch me whenever you feel like it. I literally was like shaking with like pride in myself because I finally spoke up. And I don't think it's a matter of not being able to return back to that place, and it depends on the severity. So if someone really aggressively grabs me, I'll go straight to the organiser, say if it's a private job, and say to him, look, I've told you guys the guidelines and the rules before I started. This guy's blatantly just disrespected my guidelines and my personal space. He needs to go or I go. And the boy's like, see ya, and they kick him out. So it's all about trying to maintain a really centered kind of assertiveness as opposed to aggression, because I feel when you get aggressive, they're gonna meet you at aggression as well. So just maintaining center and just saying, like being really, really stern in your voice, they're just gonna be more reciprocating in that. So the way that social media has made an impact, for me, I think it's ineffective at the moment because the new guidelines that have come in are making it harder for people like myself who are actually coming from a really beautiful, empowering place and not making it overly sexualized. Like, sexual energy can be expressed in so many different ways. It doesn't always have to be this horny, like, I want to fuck energy. It can just be this really beautiful, sultry, or it could be coy, it could be playful. There's so many different ways you can go about it. I understand that, pornography is definitely not a place for Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that. But I also feel that the more we put it in the shadows, the more we're going to make it taboo, the more the people are going to see it as wrong.